Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video, and I'm a Laker fan who's a bit confused at the moment. First of all, I want to welcome Wesley Matthews to my team. We signed him on a $3 million, 3.6, I think it was, for 1 year. Pretty happy with that signing, pretty happy with that amount. About what I would want them to pay for Wesley Matthews, so I'm pretty all right with it. I think it's a good signing. The thing that has me confused is that Dwight Howard had tweeted out a little earlier that he was returning to the Lakers, and then turned around and agreed to a 1-year veteran minimum deal with the Philadelphia 76ers to play behind Joel Embiid, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why the hell he did that. And I don't think anybody has any answers right now. We're all sitting here with the same look on their face that I have on mine, and we just don't really know what the hell just happened. He literally came out and said he was coming back to the Lakers. He tweeted it. I posted it on my Facebook, said congratulations, we got him back, woo, everything's great, and I'm at work. I come back to my lunch break to find out that he's a Sixer, and I just don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. You know what happened? I don't know what happened. We'll find out, I'm sure, but this is one of the more shocking things that has happened recently. I'm not mad at Dwight. I want to know what took place. I'm not mad at him. I'm just kind of upset that he didn't go get more money. You know, the whole purpose was for him to go out and get paid. Not go out and play for the Eastern Conference team that's going to have him off a bench. You weren't even going to play on a bench with our team. You were going to be a starter. And we just won a championship. And it's Los Angeles. And as I said in the previous video, Philly booed Beyonce and Santa Claus. Why would you choose that fan base to play for? I'll never know. Iverson swears by him. Dr. J swears by him. I personally would never want to do anything for Philly. I'm sorry, y'all got to change y'all whole get down if I'm gonna put my mental health through the anguish that you be putting people through. I'm not doing it. But that's a whole nother story. Let's get back on the topic. Dwight Howard signed up to be with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, what does this mean for Philly? I don't know. To be honest with you, they didn't need a center. They needed a lot of things. What they didn't need was a center, unless they're doing what I think they're about to do, what I've been saying they should do. What I think would fit and make Dwight Howard's tenure there even more of a prevalent role than my Lakers could provide him. If they do what I've been saying they should do, which makes all the sense in the world, then certainly Dwight Howard's in a good position. Joel Embiid needs to be traded to the Houston Rockets for James Harden. And I know that's not the only thing that can be put in the deal. Give or take picks, give or take players, whatever needs to be done. But the framework should be centerpieced around those two players swapping for one another. I've been saying this for about 3 weeks now. Harden's going everywhere. Philly's talking about getting him, but they want Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons don't belong in Houston. No. Why? Because they don't have anything at all. You got Ben Simmons who doesn't shoot, a passer with no one to pass to. That's a bad fit for him. But if you bring old Joel Embiid there, now you got a center to build around. A center that can give you 40 and 20 on his best night to build around. Someone to carry you forward with all of the great centers that the Rockets have had, and they've had quite a few. This would be yet another one they can add to their rafters. I don't see why this hasn't been done yet, or why this hasn't been considered. I don't understand why Ben Simmons is a player that the Houston Rockets are allegedly asking for. No, you want the big guy, the center, the one who shoots too many threes and Philly's tired of. They got all these those shooters in Philly. Why? Not because they fit Joel Embiid, but because they are passing targets for Ben Simmons. I'm telling you, if I have any foresight in what the Philadelphia 76ers are thinking, they're thinking that Joel Embiid is probably not going to re-sign with them again next time it comes around if they don't win a championship right away. They also see James Harden's on contract for, 2 more years? And would be very happy in Philadelphia with Ben Simmons. Because Ben Simmons is a passer, and he doesn't have to worry about Ben Simmons taking anything from him. Ben Simmons is one of the few players in this league that can watch James Harden do what he does and not need the ball. All he's going to do when he get it is get it right back to him. So the way I see it is, this is a decent fit. Now, my initial thought was for them to then turn around and trade Ben Simmons to the Bucks for Giannis. But that may not be necessarily on the table. But I'm telling you, if you have James Harden and Ben Simmons, Dwight Howard center position, suddenly you're a dangerous team. You have some issues trying to figure out who's shooting the ball outside of the shooters that you picked up, which you picked up plenty. Certainly have plenty of shooting. But your mainstays are not shooters. But obviously James Harden is a shooter. So Ben Simmons and Dwight Howard would be the only two starters that don't shoot the ball. In theory. So that would make this make sense. But Dwight Howard going to Philly to play behind Joel Embiid, who's going to be playing close to 40 minutes a game because he's Joel Embiid, just doesn't seem like the best place for Dwight at this time. The best place for him would be in the LA market with the Lakers, continuing this path toward championships. He's already a Hall of Famer. But if you add championships to your resume, you will be considered more so worthy of the Hall of Fame than you are right now. Not to say that that can't happen in Philly, because Philly is a contender. But I think he would have been needed more here, and I think he would have been used more here in theory. But I do wish him well. He made a decision. He helped us win a ring. He came back, redeemed himself, and now he's going somewhere else, and that's fine. I would like him to be here. But there are other options that we're going to have to take a look at, and I know we got the best GM arguably in all the sport right now. So it's up to him to try to figure something out. We created the cap space for it. JaVale is back. Obviously, we're getting Anthony Davis back, but we don't know at what capacity and how many years. I hope that didn't hold up the deal for Dwight, trying to hold out money for AD. And Dwight's like, you know what? I'm trying to get this certain amount. Philly already has it on the table. I can't wait. And the Lakers couldn't guarantee it. I can see that being a problem. I could see that being the case. He's sitting over here saying, well, Philly got the 3 on the table. What are y'all doing? And the Lakers are like, well, we want to wait, see if Dwight, if AD wants to sign for a certain amount of years, dollars. We want to reserve that. Once that gets taken care of, then we can move forward with you, Dwight. And Dwight's like, nah, I got a good situation over there in Philly. They waiting for me. That's a contender. If I wait for this situation to dry up and you run out of money for me, no telling where I end up. So if that's what happened, who you gonna blame? I will say this though, it would be great if a guy like AD had his idea of what he wanted already in mind. You have had literally 2 years to mull over this, my guy. Why the hell are we waiting till the last minute once free agency starts? It seems like a diva move, and I don't really like it. I understand that he's committed to wanting to stay with us, but at what cost? Because if indeed my scenario is what happened, you just cost us your center, which means you're going to have to probably play center more than you wanted to. You're going to have to guard guys that maybe you didn't want to face up guard because Dwight did a lot of that banging around. JaVale didn't do that banging. Dwight did that banging. And I'll tell you this, I don't think we find another defensive center of that caliber out there. With respect to a guy like Marc Gasol, he don't have the wiggle and the ability that Dwight Howard has at this stage. He's slow, he's injury prone, and he's not going to help you as much as Dwight, period. Serge Ibaka, he ain't as big as Dwight. He's more of a 4 than a 5. He can help you, but he's not Dwight. He's not a banger. He's not somebody who's going to set good screens and get a bunch of boards. You don't replace that. I like the fact that we got shooting today. Getting Wesley Matthews is a big deal. But if I had to choose between who I'm giving that $3 million to, I'm definitely solidifying that center position once again. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to tell you this, though. The Lakers are not a better defensive team right now than they were last year. And that is a very dangerous conversation to have right now. We still got a lot of work to do. Our roster is still incomplete. There's still plenty of guys on the board. Free agency hasn't even really gotten started yet. But I'll tell you this. Losing Dwight Howard was a massive blow to this roster. Massive. And whatever happens next is going to have a lot to do with whether or not the Lakers are able to get a center in there that can do some of the things that Dwight did and someone that can stay as healthy and durable as Dwight was. So, yeah. I'm not going to sit up here and overreact and say we're in trouble, but there's definitely cause for concern that we're not going to be a much better defensive team this year. Avery Bradley is a very important piece we need to bring back. Seems like the the options that Rondo had are starting to dry up. He's basically either going to go to the Lakers or go to the Clippers, and that's pretty much it. Because I think Atlanta just paid Gallinari Rondo's money. I think that's what just happened here. Gallinari, I don't know what exactly the framework of the deal, but he got a nice hunk of change from the Atlanta Hawks, and he said it there. So that's going to determine a lot in terms of what Rondo's thinking. I do believe that he's going to probably end up a Clipper at this point. I do. I just think that that's the best role for him. I know that sounds strange because I'm a Laker fan and I want him to be here, but he's a starting point guard on a team that needs a facilitator. I mean, there's nothing to talk about. He's our second or third facilitator at this point. They need a first facilitator. Now, I did hear that they were after a couple other point guards. I heard them mentioning involved in a trade rumor with somebody. I forgot who it was at this point, but they're looking at point guards that they're trying to take a look at or see if they can acquire. We'll see what the Clippers do. Gordon Hayward is close to a deal with the Indiana Pacers. I think that's a good spot for him. See if fitting comfortably. He's from Indiana. It's a hometown move. Stays in the same division more or less. Plays for a good team. If he signs with the Pacers, it's a seamless fit. It's not anything serious in terms of him getting a championship or nothing, but he will be somewhere he's happy, comfortable, and that's a far stretch from where he's leaving. Boston was a headache and a nightmare and failed dreams and all kinds of different stuff that they had for that just didn't work out. So I want to see Gordon Hayward in a happy place, and I think Indiana would be just that. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm curious to see what happens with Christian Wood. He's a player that is going to cost way too much for the Lakers, so I'm not even thinking about that. Plus, he pretty much plays AD's role, so that's not the best utilization for his talent. But I do want to see where he goes because his talent level and what he brings to the table can sway the landscape quite a bit depending on where he lands. He can sway the landscape. If he goes to Phoenix, they're a different team. They're simply a different team. If he were to go to Dallas, suddenly they're so much deeper. There's so much of a problem. Boston would be a great place for Christian Wood. There are a lot of places that Christian Wood would be great at. So I'm curious about what happens with him. Fred VanVleet, I expect to re-sign with Toronto. I just don't expect him to leave. So there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of free agents still out there, man. But, man, Dwight Howard is off the board. He is headed to the Philadelphia 76ers. My name is BDF44. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.